All right, Robbie, walk me through your new office
Yeah.
and the differences from the old office to stepping up to the new one.
Yeah, it's a bit of the same but different, right? So the brake and throttle layout is more or less exactly the same how I had it in my TCR car, where I have my brake up top here, where you just squeeze it. The TCR car was a big ring and it was interconnected. Now it's almost like independent paddles, but you see they still move together. And why that's important is because, let's say if I'm turning to the right, and if I can't continue to brake, you then kind of just take over and you don't have to guess on the brake pressure. You just kind of take over where the paddle once was, which is why in the TCR car you wanted it as a ring as well. So that way you can just jump between hands if need be. And the same is for the throttle. So this little bar down here, this L, is my throttle application. So again, as you can see, I'm applying on the right and it moves to the left and vice versa. And that's the exact same reason. So if you're turning too much and you can't reach one of the throttles, you always have the other one that you can grab to try, not lose lap time waiting to get the steering wheel straighter before you apply the throttle. And then typical upshift, downshift, right side up, left side down. And then this little guy here is the clutch paddle, the manual clutch. So one of the great things about this Corvette Z06 is it basically has like a auto drive. So you don't have to apply the clutch to like leave for a pit stop. You just press the drive button and hit the throttle and off you go. So it's that's basically if there's an issue, let's say if you can't get first gear, if it's like dog to dog or something, you kind of have to pull in the manual clutch and do things manually. This over here in my TCR car was my clutch paddle or clutch thing. So I'll just pull it to use the clutch, where now this is kind of our emergency handbrake. So because this new system is a full brake-by-wire system, it's all electronic braking. In the event that there is no electronics, I still have a hydraulic handbrake to apply, and basically uses the same master cylinders as the normal brake pedal, and stops the car safely. So over here on the left-hand side, we have my button panel, which is basically you arm the Bosch EBS through there with the power button. A couple buttons. There's a force active button. There's a fault clear button, and then brake bias up and brake bias down. So because my system is fully electronic, I can't use the normal brake bias bar that my teammates would use. So we have to change brake bias electronically. And then this little purple rotary here is to change the amount of assistance that I can get from the Bosch EBS. So if I'm struggling physically or whatever, and I want more peak brake pressure, right? The next thing is with you guys, with anyone with their legs, if you want to stop the car more, you just push more, where this is all calibrated. So the full stroke is only 110 bar brake pressure, right? So if I went to a different map, that might be 120, or you go to a different map, that might be 130. So kind of just keep tuning that. And then, yeah, so then that coincides with obviously your normal ABS functions and that you have on the steering wheel. And honestly, what Pratt Miller, Chevy, Bosch, and DXDT have done with this whole thing, it's a bit of a masterpiece, right? It looks like it belongs here. It doesn't look like an afterthought. And honestly, it drove the same way. I was blown away my first laps in Sebring in this car, that it just felt so natural. Like the Bosch EBS should be the standard braking system for this car. Like, it just integrated in so well, and it couldn't have gone any smoother. Which I kind of, the whole day I was like, what's the catch? Like, when's it going to start going bad? And it just never did. It just kept progressing and getting better and better.
What will Tommy have as far as his tools? Same steering wheel, you just flip the switch, now it's over into Tommy mode.
Yep.
And he can use the pedals and the wheel. Very clean.
Exactly. So what was actually really well thought out from Pratt Miller when they designed this is, in this car, if you want the steering wheel closer or further away from the driver, there's little spacers. Like, it's pretty common in a lot of junior and like open wheel cars. But in a lot of GTs, it seems like you can either have retractable steering columns, or like, there's the tilt to bring it up or bring it down for better egress. But so all of my paddles live on a standard 10 mil steering wheel spacer. So if we had to change a steering wheel, if for whatever reason that was necessary, the paddles just live there permanently. So the actual steering wheel itself is unaltered, unedited. The paddles, we had to trim the clutch down a little bit, but that's pretty much fine. But the gear shifts, everything is just exactly how it would be for an able-bodied driver. So when I get out of the car, my teammate gets in, they simply just have to push the button to disarm the system. And the reason why they have to do it instead of me is because I put my right foot on the throttle pedal as kind of my right dead pedal because the throttle's not active, and my left leg lives on the dead pedal. So if I switched it during a driver change, I try to push off with the best that I can with my legs, but I'd be applying the throttle. So for a period of time, I would just be applying throttle. So it's not ideal for that. So I'll leave with the car in hand control mode, and then when my teammate gets in, they just have to turn it off, and then they'll have their pedals like normal. So as we can see here, the hand control system is disabled, which means it's just full normal driving. Brake pedal works, throttle works. If the engine was on, you would just drive away with your feet. But if you press this power button, like so, now my hand control system is active. So if the engine was running, that would be my throttle, and then you just squeeze the brake to apply the brake. So what's going to happen is in our driver changes, whoever's getting in or out, you basically just arm the system or disarm the system. And then obviously this is only a static mode, so that's not going to live there permanently while I'm not driving, because it's blocking pretty useful information of where the tire pressures and stuff and tire temperatures live. So yeah, no stone was left unturned, and it's just a super, super well integrated system.
Race car drivers are like fighter pilots. And now with your situation and you're basically doing everything with the hand controls, do you feel like your hands have gotten even more sensitive to trying to get a feel and balance for the car and move the car around versus before the accident, or is pretty much the same?
That's it. Honestly, it's pretty much the same. The only thing is I feel like I need more like cognitive space to understand what I'm doing. You know, like a simple thing of, I typically apply throttle with my left hand so that way I can upshift freely with my right hand. But, you know, for example, if I wanted to talk on the radio button is all the way at the top of the wheel. So like if I'm full throttle, it's like pretty uncomfortable to get there. So if I want to talk on the radio, I'll switch to my right hand to speak on the radio. And it's like, it's just kind of those things that you learn of, like, my instinct is just like, oh, I want to talk, and then just like press the button, but then your hand's already doing something, so you need to try and understand. And similar with trying to get to the pit speed button or to whatever, you know, you simple things. If I want to change brake bias, it's up here on the left hand side, so I'd have to make sure I'm left hand throttle or right hand throttle to do what I have to do. So it's kind of just that pre-planning of understanding, but then after a couple repetitions, it just becomes second nature that if you want to talk on the radio, you just know you have to switch hands to make that other hand free. So it's, I wouldn't say it's made me more in tune with the car. I just think it's just one added step that I need to do to make sure I'm doing everything correctly.
Sitting in it now, when you sat in it for the first time, did 7 years flow through your mind at all about what a journey it's been and what an incredible motivation it is for so many others? You finally in your home, so to speak, in the WeatherTech series, it's that next chapter that you've been chasing?
Honestly, it just made me excited. It didn't really, I didn't think a whole lot about the past. I think the big thing was just where we are today. And obviously, sure, it took a lot of hard work and a lot of great people behind me. But really, a lot of it was just being grateful. You know, what David Askew's doing to, frankly, give me the chance. It's that same lifeline that I had with Brian Hurta and Sean Jones at Brian Hurta Autosport, was just someone to believe that, you know, what we're trying to do is not a distraction, but it's actually an opportunity. So, yeah, I mean, when I first got into the car in Sebring to leave the pits for the first time, it kind of just went full circle. But then, you know, after 2-3 laps, it was just straight to business and trying to extract the most lap time, because you only get one shot at these levels to make an impression and make an impact, and that's what we're here to do. You know, I feel like I've been very transparent through this whole journey. Is I I love that I'm, raising awareness for spinal cord injury and for anyone struggling with disabilities, but I don't want to be a participant on the racetrack. I want to be a competitor, and I want to be fighting for wins and podiums and everything along the way. So the goal is to compete, not just to be there.